Happy Wednesday. Welcome in. It's three-man front. Pat Conrad, Molly Landrum with you until 2 o'clock. We will continue the conversation as we look forward to this weekend's college football action, including a big one up on Rocky Top. We'll go up to Knoxville, Tennessee next hour. We'll get a little preview of Georgia and the Tennessee Vols as both teams taking on their biggest opponent so far in the season. Our main guy from Las Vegas, Nevada, Brian Edwards, will join the show at 10:45. Chris Stewart, the voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Remember last week, Conrad, he told us that he had just got off the practice field and just a really fired up group of Alabama Crimson Tide, and maybe that was going to be a harbinger of things to come, and it most certainly was.
Yeah, no kidding. And I know we kind of joke about it on the show, right? Typically when you hear about a good week of practice, sometimes that translates to not a great day on Saturday, but hopefully we get another good report from Chris, and the guys have been working hard on the practice field and have the same mentality this week that they had last week, because that's going to be important.
Trey Wallace from Outkick will also be along in his weekly segment at 12:30. Maybe he's changed his mind and put Alabama back in his national championship game. I doubt it.
Oh, imagine if Clemson had lost to Troy because he had Alabama playing Clemson in the national championship.
That would have been bad.
He might save it until after the Georgia game to change the prediction, or to stick with
Give him
it
some time
and double down on it.
That would be really bold, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it really would be. But we're going to start the show with something that it may not be anything. I don't know. We'll see. But Frank Frangie, who is a talk show host in Jacksonville, Florida. I've known Frank a very long time. He is one of these guys that he's not going to come on his radio show and give you a bunch of, hey, I hear that this guy is going to be the next head coach. I mean, he plays it pretty straightforward, right down the fairway. He's not big on speculation, things of that nature. So yesterday when he was on his radio show and the topic of the University of Florida came up, this is very interesting. Take a listen to what Frank Frangie, longtime Jacksonville, Florida talk show host, that sent his audience into a frenzy when he said the following.
Listen to me when I tell you this. If Billy Napier gets fired, and I think he's going to, Jon Gruden will be in play for that job.
Wow.
Doesn't mean he'll get it, but listen to me again. I think and I never take, you know me, I don't go there. How many times you see me roll my eyes when someone goes somewhere like that, right? Mm-hmm. I think Jon Gruden has had conversations in the past with people who care about Florida's interests. I'm not going to tell you that he's talked to Scott Strickland or the president. I don't know that. If he has, I don't know that he has. Jon Gruden desperately wants back in. And he desperately wants a college job. That's widely known. He doesn't want an NFL job. He wants a head college job. He has made that known on his Barstool stuff. That's not a secret. He's a very good football coach. He wants back in. He stayed in with, he's still in Tampa. He meets with coaches all the time. I can give you a list of guys he meets with. And it's time for Florida to do something spectacular. I think Jon Gruden will be in play to be the next head coach at the University of Florida if Billy Napier is fired. And I feel strongly about that. Might not get it. They may never come together. I may be wrong, and Scott Strickland may have no interest in it. But I believe there will be a conversation.
Frank Frangie, talk show host in Jacksonville, Florida, telling his audience that there will be a conversation and that it's time for Florida to do something, air quotes, spectacular, end of air quotes.
Well, why would you not? And I mean, who else is going to probably be on that list? I know Jed Fish. That was a name that we heard about when there was speculation that Napier could be fired. Florida's a good job, but as we saw in the case of Chip Kelly, when he had the choice of where he wanted to go, and it was between Florida and UCLA, he chose UCLA ultimately. Why not Gruden? As a football coach.
No, and look, I like Jon Gruden. I would love to see him get back into coaching. I just wonder, are you going to take – feels like kind of a leap of faith a little bit with a guy like that to come and take over a Florida program. I mean, let's be honest. Like Florida, they have higher expectations than what the last 15 years of that program have reflected. So,
but you had a proven guy out of the Sun Belt, and he's 20-20.
If you're a Florida fan, would you rather have Jon Gruden or Lane Kiffin, you think?
I think the answer would be Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin.
I agree with that.
But the unknown with Gruden is scary, but also very intriguing.
It is very. That's a good way to describe it.
He would definitely win the press conference. You probably would raise a lot of money right out of the gate. But the proof will be in the pudding, just like it's going to be in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Do young kids have that respect for Jon Gruden? Not saying they wouldn't respect him, but
No.
I'm saying I don't think his name carries weight with 18-year-old kids the same way it does with even someone my age who's about 30.
Absolutely not. It does not.
No, but I think that he's got an infectious personality as a coach.
He does.
And they would just get to know him as Jon Gruden, the Florida coach, and the guy that I used to see on social media opening boxes.
But at the end of the day, it's all about fundraising. It's all about the money. It's all about what he can do to the university.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely something that he could do. But listen, for Frank Frangie, as I've told you, as long as I've been in this business, he was a long-time host with David Lamb. If you remember the old Feinbaum days, David Lamb used to be a regular guest on our show. Frank was his co-host. I think Frank might even actually have some ownership in that radio station down in Jacksonville. Got a great reputation. So, I mean, if he's saying that, then I believe him for what he said. That obviously somebody is communicating with him, that would be definitely somebody that would be on one of the call lists for Scott Strickland. It's just amazing to think that if they fire Billy Napier, that Scott Strickland is going to get another opportunity to hire the next coach at Florida, because as we've seen in the Southeastern Conference, you usually get one.
Yeah.
You don't get a mulligan usually. And this would be the third, which is pretty amazing.
But he bought himself another opportunity by hiring Todd Golden, and what that brought in a whole nother sport.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
But he just got a contract extension and then a retirement date when he's going to take over in 2030, 2031?
Yeah.
That new consultant role.
But it was just interesting that Frank used the word spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how many people in the state of Florida
I don't know if I describe it that way.
Yeah, would view that as spectacular.
I think intriguing, the word that Landrum used, is maybe a better fit for that.
Very much so. Or exciting. But use the word spectacular on someone that has never, ever coached it down as a head coach in major college football and be given the reins to the University of Florida. It's asking a lot.
Well, you think about fit, but the criteria and what you think a coach can bring your program in has certainly changed now with the transfer portal and the year-to-year turnover. And maybe that's more conducive to what Jon Gruden and his background is and kind of that free agent mindset.
So we'll see if Billy Napier can turn it around. But when you've got a literally conservative sports talk show host, I want to say conservative, I'm not talking about politically, I'm talking about just the way that they do their show, that's going to be something worth watching as the days percolate on the calendar. So we'll see what happens with the University of Florida. As I mentioned, we're going to spend a good bit of time next hour talking about this big matchup between Georgia and Tennessee. And speaking of the Georgia-Tennessee game, Joe Klatt and the Joe Klatt Show, he does his podcast each and every week. And we all know that he is a shield for the Big Ten. We know that he craps on the SEC every opportunity he gets. Typically, it's Alabama. That's always been his moniker of let me go crap on Alabama, get everybody fired up, get some people. I mean, it's
no fun to crap on Vandy.
No, it's not. But he's got a new target now, and it's the University of Georgia. Take a listen to what Joel Klatt had to say on his podcast, his concerns. This was the clip that the Joel Klatt Show actually sent out. So you're going to hear some music and all that. This was on their social media. But this is what Joel Klatt had to say about the University of Georgia.
Concerned about Georgia. It's not just the score either. They beat an FCS Austin Peay team 28-6. Why did Gunnar Stockton need to throw the ball 34 times against an FCS opponent? I don't understand that. He was in the game well into the fourth quarter, still throwing the football. This is FCS level competition. You're at home. You're Georgia. Gunnar Stockton should not be throwing the ball 34 times. I'm just going to put it to you very bluntly. If Julian Sayin or Dante Moore at Ohio State or Oregon would have thrown the ball 34 times against Austin Peay, they would have scored somewhere around 1,000 points. So to only score 28 is alarming. I'm just saying, they better develop. Concern about the way that they finished the half. Georgia ran 5 plays from the 1-yard line at the end of the first half, didn't get into the end zone. How? You should be able to just hand the football off and drive an FCS defensive line into the end zone, 10 yards into the end zone. I know that there was a weather delay and there were some of those things, and like, I get that. It's hard for me to explain away your quarterback having to throw the ball 34 times.
Minus the exaggeration of 1,000 points, if either one of those guys would have been playing that, I agreed with most of what he said.
Valid concerns. But I think, my whole thing with Georgia, though, is we've seen this the past couple of years, right, where they have these types of games like UT Martin a couple years ago.
Kentucky.
And then the first time they play and then they play like a ranked, real opponent, and they smoke them.
But the difference would be Gunnar Stockton. The difference is the quarterback. Let's quit dancing around it. It's Gunnar Stockton. There were questions about Gunnar Stockton coming into the season, and there's still questions about Gunnar Stockton, and that's why he's throwing 35 passes and playing deep into a game. Is the coaches obviously are still unsure about their quarterback.
I mean, when you're a 46.5-point favorite at home against an FCS opponent, and you have the struggles that you had against Austin Peay, and then you win by the score that you won by, that is going to bring out the Joel Klatz of the world, asking some questions about what's going on. Yeah, I'm like you. Bringing up Julian Say and Dante Moore.
I mean, that's.
It's saying that they would score 1,000 points against Austin Peay. Well, guess what? Dante Moore didn't score 1,000 points against Little Oklahoma State over the weekend. They scored 69, but didn't score 1,000.
They were pretty good.
Didn't score 1,000 though. So it's going to be very. I mean, that's a good barometer for both teams this weekend. For like, what do you have with Tennessee? What do you have with Georgia? Just like, to me, it's going to be a really good barometer when Alabama goes between the hedges. Like, you're going to finally get a true estimation in my thought process is how good is Alabama and how good is Georgia, based on.
But have we seen enough of Georgia against their two opponents? It was Marshall in the opening weekend, and then Austin Peay. Yep. Have we seen enough as just college football fans and people who have watched it since we can remember that this Georgia team offensively, it's not like they're going to flip a light switch in Neyland Stadium and all of a sudden they're going to become a juggernaut and they're putting up 50-something points.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen, but I also believe that Mike Bobo and Kirby Smart are not going to put stuff on film.
Oh, fair.
That they're going to do against Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
But when you can't get the ball in from the 5-yard line.
Yeah, when you can't move anybody up front,
concern.
You can call up whatever. You can draw up whatever you want.
Well, and I would go back to
against Austin Peay. You should say this is what we're going to run, and you can't stop it.
Yeah, and I think even you go back to last year and you look at like the Ole Miss game, for example, right? That was one of the first times in a long time you had seen another team that was more physical than Georgia, and I think that's just maybe the reality is they're dealing with what we've talked about with Alabama and other schools a lot right now. You don't have that depth, and so it's harder to reload every year. And so some years, like maybe this year, you're not going to be the most physical team in the country. You're not going to have the most talented team in the country. So we'll see. We'll
go to Knoxville, Tennessee. Vince Ferrara, who is with our sister station, the Sports Animal in Knoxville, he will join the program at 11:30. Get his thoughts on Tennessee's preparation for the Georgia Bulldogs, as the Bulldogs have won 8 in a row in the series. Pretty amazing. And I believe 13 out of the last 15. This has been a series dominated by the Georgia Bulldogs. So we'll talk about that much more later on in the program.
Well, the Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand for 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jock. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com.
When we come back on Three Man Front, we'll open up the phone lines, 1-800-239-WJOX. Got a little bit of time before our first guest, Brian Edwards, at 10:45. Also, the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. On this Hump Day edition, this is Three Man Front on Jocks. On an absolutely gorgeous Wednesday, thanks for making us a part of your day. This is 3-Man Front on Jocks, Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 10 o'clock. If you're looking around your property and you see a couple trees that doesn't look the healthiest of trees and maybe a couple of them are a little bit too close to your back patio or your house, call Golston Tree Service today, 205-337-4443. They're your trusted local experts in fast, affordable, professional tree removal, trimming, and cleanup. Licensed, insured. They're ready to handle any job, big or small. Golston Tree Service, 205-337-4443. Golston also offers that 24-hour emergency tree service. So when it comes to your trees, don't risk it. Call Golston today, 205-337-4443.
The Jocks text line is always open, 205-834-9450. And Joel Klatt's comments, of course, Jon Gruden, could he maybe one day be the head coach of the University of Florida Gators? We go there now. And this one reads, of course, Gruden wants a college job over an NFL job. The NFL doesn't want him.
That is true. Don't think he'll ever work in the NFL again. So if he wants to coach again, he'll either be at the college level or high school.
South Florida coach Alex Golesh needs to be Florida's next target.
He'll make a great hire somewhere, wherever it is.
Mike in Shreveport, no radio show in the country talks more about firing coaches than 3-Man front.
Hey.
We resemble that remark.
I wear that proudly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's worked out a couple times.
This one rolling in from the state of North Carolina. Thanks for listening on the app. Never should have fired Dan Mullen. Got greedy and thought they could be better rather than getting him some recruiting help.
So a little selfless plug here for 3-Man Front and Jocks. So Molly, was that Monday?
Yes, it was Monday.
So tell everybody about the social media post. This just shows you that once again, Birmingham, Alabama is the absolute, the kingdom, the capital city of college football for the world, because something that we did on the show on Monday about Florida has absolutely gone viral.
So we posted a video on all of our socials. So it's on 3-Man Front or Jocks on Instagram, and it's on Jocks on our TikTok page as well. And basically, it's comparing all the past Florida coaches after 40 games and what their records were. Alone on Instagram, it has 131,000 views.
Wow.
On TikTok, it has 64,000, and I believe on YouTube, it has 14,000.
So that's over 200,000, right?
Yes.
Over 200,000 views on us talking about Florida, not talking about Alabama or Auburn, talking Florida. And
once again, just a reminder to everybody out there, I am logged into all the social medias. So whenever you comment something, I see it. And it's a fun time reading some of these things that our wonderful listeners say.
Jason asked, better hairstyle, Jon Gruden or Mark Davis?
It's close.
Definitely Jon Gruden.
Yeah, I'm going to go Gruden there.
Mark Davis has probably the worst haircut I've ever seen a human being have. Also, his face doesn't help a whole lot. But sorry, was that mean?
That was.
I mean, come on.
Wonder if he still goes to P.F. Chang's and goes and gets his sweet tea and sits there and reads the paper every day.
He does like P.F. Chang's. I forgot about that.
That's his deal. Drake, big Florida fan, says you better bet Florida fires Napier. Kiffin will be the next coach.
So what was the holdup with because when they hired Billy Napier, wasn't Lane Kiffin's name thrown out there?
I thought it was.
I didn't remember if there was a specific holdup on why he wasn't ultimately the choice for that job, if it was him turning it down, Florida not being interested, or something else.
This one reads, Klatt's an idiot. Kirby was working on passing game against inferior opponents. Same as Freeze. Clickbait. Both could have lined up and ran the ball every play and win by 40. Why not work on the passing game? But they
did line it up.
They did line it up and they couldn't.
That's even worse. When they did do it and they couldn't do it.
Also, I mean, I understand what they're saying, right? Of Auburn clearly had a game plan of, hey, let's get the passing game some work, get Jackson Arnold some reps. Kirby seemed to do the same thing with Gunnar Stockton. Should you not still have been able to score 40-plus points throwing the football with your quarterback and receivers at Georgia? I'm just,
Auburn more by design because they ran the ball because it was effective and Baylor couldn't stop it. I don't think you want Jackson Arnold running it 20 times against Ball State.
No, you don't want that.
That was
guy getting
intentional.
hurt. Yep.
Thank you. Joel Klatt is spot on, y'all. I said I agreed with everything he said with the exception of the Julian saying, what did he say, 1,000 yards or Dante Moore?
They'd score 1,000 points if they threw it 34 times.
Against Austin P. Yeah.
Gruden is so overrated, he's just a personality. What failure of a hire he would be. Well, Billy Napier doesn't have much of a personality and have a proven track record of winning it.
And look, you can
Sun
say
Belt.
what you want about Jon Gruden. If you don't like Jon Gruden for some of the things he's done off the field, totally understand that. He's a good coach. He's a good coach. He's a heck of a coach.
He's a ball coach.
He knows football.
He won a Super Bowl. That's not easy to do.
Matt from Fayette says, love seeing y'all live from Social Taco yesterday. I ain't scared. Bold prediction. Vandy over South Carolina. Agree or disagree? I like that.
Have you seen the point spread in that game?
No, what is it now?
Is it shrinking?
I think it's down to maybe 4.5.
Where did it open? 6.5? Yeah.
Just saying, one team beat VT by 13, one team beat them by 24.
Well, I've learned not to bet against Diego Pavia.
A lot of Vandy love. And I think our guest at 1045 is probably going to continue that love.
Will Coach learn from last week and side with the Doors this week? That's the question.
I think Napier reels off some big wins, including this weekend, to once again save his job. He's going to have plenty of opportunities at big wins based on that schedule.
Oh, I mean, you win this game this week. I mean, last week's still going to sting, but
I'll go beat LSU.
that'll change some things. Beat the number 3 team in the country.
That'll put some of the pitchforks down and the torches.
Maybe they'll be in everybody's AP poll then if that happens.
But at some point, if you're Florida and you're the administration, go, okay, how many times are we going to do this? Yes, we got a tough schedule, but ultimately, do we see this thing turning for the better long term? And
Well, I think for them too, it's all right. You have a guy in DJ Lagway who clearly we've seen what he is capable of, but how does he develop over the course of the season? And if he doesn't get significantly better, probably doesn't help Billy Napier's case.
any SEC school needs a college-proven coach, not a professional-proven coach. The two games are too different in building up program and maintaining it.
I think that's a concern for a lot of guys now.
Well, Pete Carroll would disagree.
Well,
Okay, that's the one shining example.
I was about to say him and Harbaugh are like the two exceptions to that.
Continue with the texts. We'll keep reading them throughout the program. 205-834-9450.
Are you seeing cracks in your foundation? Are the doors and windows sticking? These aren't just minor problems. It could be problems leading to bigger issues for your house. Protect your home by calling Alabama Professional Services today, 205-951-9717. 951-9717. The pros, they really know their stuff, and they'll inspect your foundation. They'll explain the problem, and then they're going to come up and formulate a plan specifically for your property. They can fix your foundation. They can even tackle that sinking driveway or maybe a patio in the backyard with their clean poly-level system. For foundation issues, wet basements, sinking concrete, do yourself a favor. Call APS, 205-951-9717, or just simply go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com. APS has been protecting Alabama homes since 1977, and they're just a phone call away from helping you. 205-951-9717.
Just a few minutes away from our Vegas insider, Brian Edwards. He's going to tell us who he likes for the college football and NFL weekend. Loaded Up Wednesday's show. It's 3-man front, your home for college football and more. Jocks.
It is 10:31. Coming up at 10:45, we will talk to Brian Edwards from Vegas Insider. He's got a lot of SEC games in play for him this weekend. He's been as good as it gets in the first 2 weeks of the college football season. So you need to get that pen and paper ready to go at 10:45, as he is going to touch on some of the biggest games of the weekend, not only in the Southeastern Conference, but around college football. We are welcoming your calls here at the beginning of the show, 1-800-239-WJOX. The courtesy GMC text line is open as well at 205-834-9450. If you have a comment or two on anything that we have discussed or something that is gnawing at you this morning, give us a call or a text.
Well, always tell your better friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. You can join millions of users just like me, and you can sign up today. Prize Picks is really simple to play. You're just going to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. First, what you need to do, if you don't have the Prize Picks app, download the app today. Use code WJOX to get $50 in lineups after you play your first lineup for just $5. That's right. Code WJOX. Get $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. You don't have to win to get that bonus. And tonight, since we do not have any football going on, we're going to go professional baseball. We're going to go hits plus runs batted in. Any combination of that, anything more or less than that, you're a winner. Jock Peterson, one of my favorites from the Atlanta Braves championship year. He now plays for the Texas Baseball Rangers. 0.5 more or less on hits, runs batted in. I'm going to say Jock goes more on that one. And we will throw out Trevor Story, Boston infielder, 1.5 hits, runs, and runs batted in. Going to go more as they take on he's Sacramento Athletics.
If you haven't been paying attention, if a lot of people have already kind of moved on from baseball, Trevor Story has been really, really good after the All-Star break for the Boston Red Sox.
He certainly has. So more on both of those guys. If they get more on those player stat projections, guess what? I'm a winner. You can be a winner too. Download the app today. Use code WJOX. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Big TV numbers as expected for the NFL Week 1. The Bills come from behind win over the Ravens on Sunday Night Football, delivered 24.7 million viewers on NBC. It is the network's best Sunday night opener since 25 million. Watch the Buccaneers and Cowboys back in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. That was Tom Brady's debut, right? For the Bucs. Alongside the weather-delayed Cowboys-Eagles NFL kickoff game on Thursday, NBC averaged 26.5 million for its Week 1 doubleheader, which is the network's best start of the season since 2015 and the second best figure since taking over the package back in 2006. As we all know, the Sunday Night Football game is the most watched television show in the United States for the last 20 years.
It's so well done.
Every Sunday night, the majority of Americans, it used to be the last show that was number one on Sunday night was, I believe it was American Idol. That was the number one show before NBC's Sunday Night Football took over.
And I like Tirico, I like Collinsworth, but it's not even and they're really good, but it's not because of that. It's just everything. The whole package that NBC has with that Sunday night game, I really enjoy it.
And they're going to try to replicate that for the NBA, and they're also going to try to replicate it for Major League Baseball because they've got now a Sunday package that ESPN used to have. So NBC is going all in on Sunday night sports. So that will be your one-stop shop for the rest of the year in regards to what you want to watch on Sunday.
Well, you got the street cred with the viewer because they know what they get with the NFL product. So maybe people like me that have become disinterested with the NBA, maybe you come back, you give it a chance.
Internally, they're saying that the Friday night YouTube broadcast was a disappointment. 17 million. And that was worldwide. That was not United States. That was worldwide.
And it was free. It wasn't YouTube
Correct.
TV. It was just on YouTube.
Right. So worldwide, the Chargers-Chiefs game from Brazil did 17 million.
Kind of got lost.
On a Friday night.
On a Friday night.
Meanwhile, CBS They drew its best week one audience since returning as an NFL media partner in 1998. Think about that. Been doing it for 27 years. This is the best weekend they've ever had opening things up on CBS because the national window, which was seen by 87% of all the markets in the United States, was the Lions and Packers. Your Lions look like trash, Molly.
Yeah, I know.
They look bad. That game drew almost 24 million viewers. Earlier in the afternoon, CBS had a regional window. This is the game that I watched, and it was a heck of a game between the Jets and the Steelers, having obviously Aaron Rodgers return back to the Meadowlands to take on his former team. That was seen by 72% of the nation. That game drew as much as the Chargers and Chiefs did on YouTube for free. That's a huge number for an early game on Sunday. So just huge numbers across the board for the NFL as the season got underway this weekend.
Yeah, going back to that Friday night Chiefs and Chargers, and we were traveling, but I had totally forgot that game was on. Totally forgot.
Well, it's funny because we were on Friday, we're all doing high school stuff, and I'm there doing the Mountain Brook game, and we're trying to keep up with what's going on with y'all's game at Hewitt and Vestavia because that was a big matchup. And it's like, what's the score of the Chiefs and Chargers game? I don't know. What's the score of the Hewitt Vestavia game? 7-7. All right.
There you go.
We had our priorities in the right place, Pat.
Our game was more entertaining. I promise you that.
From what I understand, it was quite entertaining.
It was a very good football game. A very good high school football game. Both Vestavia and Hewitt. Very well played, both teams. So when we come back, we're going to give a little bit of extra time for Brian Edwards and Vegas Insider because he has sent me and Landrum a ton of talking points coming up. So if you've never heard this segment, you need to get a pen and paper or get your phone out, take some notes on your phone because he's going to give you some winners for free. He doesn't pay anything to come on this show. We don't pay him anything to come on the show. He does it because he's friends of ours and he just loves to share the knowledge with the audience.
Bottom line, you're about to get paid.
That's right. So just listen up. Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com. He's next.
10:42, three-man front on this Wednesday. Our Vegas insider, friend, resident of the state of Florida, Brian Edwards, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Brian, how are you?
Doing well, guys. What's happening?
Oh, man, just looking at your stellar record, you have started out on fire, not only at the college level, but also in the NFL, which is no surprise because you're all over it and you study.
Appreciate it, but only as good as the next one. Got to keep it going. We're on to the next.
So are you fading the Florida Gators the rest of the season?
No, I'm actually on the Gators this week.
Okay.
I was going to save anything Florida related towards the end of the segment, but yeah.
Well, I thought you were going right there with the way you said Florida resident on the intro. I thought we were going to get it over with early, but
it was just
okay.
it was an early tease, and we were going to circle back to it.
How many times have you looked at the picture of Congdon dunking over Grant Nelson this week? Has that brought you some peace this week, Brian?
How excited are you that Jon Gruden's going to be your next head football coach?
Hey, we're batting 1,000 on repeats if we're talking hoops.
Hey, like Landrum said, are you fired up that Jon Gruden's going to be your next coach?
Pretend you didn't hear it.
No, I don't want Gruden. But, I mean, some brilliant person in Gainesville or many brilliant people that run my alma mater decided it was a fabulous idea to give Scott Strickland a 3-year extension last week. So whoever we hire, he's hiring them. So it's going to be Sketch City, just Jeremy Foley style all over again, like my whole life.
Strickland's got the goods on somebody down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so, too.
All right.
Todd Golden saved his career.
Let's start in the SEC. Vanderbilt at South Carolina. Both have played Virginia Tech. You got to be careful comparing scores and comparing games, but Vanderbilt, very impressive in pulling away last week on the road.
Absolutely. Yes, they were. And, man, Diego's got that new toy in that track star, Trey Richardson, new wide receiver. And he is, ever since Pavia got there, Vandy 9-2 against the spread, 6 outright wins as an underdog, as a road underdog, 5-0 ATS with 3 outright wins. And it was domination by Vandy last week, 490 to 248 on total yards, 23-16 on first downs. And if you didn't look at the box score or watch SEC in 60 and see what was going on with South Carolina and South Carolina State last week, then you probably don't realize that South Carolina State out-yarded them 270 to 253. They out-time a possessioned them, if that's a phrase, 34-39 to 25-21. It was 3-0 South Carolina State with 5:01 left, and South Carolina got a 65-yard punt return for a touchdown by Vakari Swain. Then they got a 3-and-out, and then they got another punt return for a touchdown by Swain with 3:07 left. And then in the second half, they got a 46-yard fumble return for a touchdown from the defense. And remember, Swain had an 80-yard punt return against Spa Tech. South Carolina's offense is really struggling. Now, they have won 16 in a row over Vandy, but only one with Pavia. And I watched Bussin' with the boys when Pavia was the guest on their pod this summer, and they asked him directly, what game are you most fired up for? And he said this one, because he said he lost the game in their 28-7 game last year. He said he missed a bunch of throws. He was a little banged up from the week before. He said this is the game he's looking forward to the most. I got Vandy plus 5.5, but I still like them at 4.5, and I'm calling for the outright upset.
All right, there you go. Brian Edwards calling for the Vandy straight-up upset. All right, you just kind of told us that you like the Gators. Did you get it at 9? Because I'm looking at a live line right now, and it looks like it's 7.5 for LSU is the home favorite. Has that line come down that much, or were you able to get that early line maybe on Sunday when it came out at 9?
I got 9, but I think you're okay at 7 or better.
Okay.
Napier is notorious for being atrocious as a favorite and really good as an underdog. 6-3 against the spread as a road dog at Florida. 14-10 against the spread as any sort of dog at Florida. His entire career, counting the Raging Cajun tenure as well, 26-14-1 against the spread as a road dog. And if you look at LSU last week, they were not very sharp either. And the Clemson win certainly hasn't aged well, at least over just a 1 week span, as Troy led Clemson 16-3 at halftime. I'll also mention that, in my opinion, two of Florida's 4 or 5 best players, that being true freshman wide receiver Dallas Wilson and defensive tackle Caleb Banks, who might be a first-round draft pick in this upcoming draft, neither have touched the field yet. And, injury report comes out tonight. I don't know for sure they're playing this week, but I know that they've been targeting this game as when they come back. So that would be a big lift for Florida on both sides of the ball if they get both those guys back. And 9 of the last 15 between Florida and LSU have been one-possession games. I think as long as you're getting 7 or more, I like the Gators. Like I said, I got 9. Penalties last week and just, vintage Napier, like 15 guys on the field, the D-line not in the stance looking for the play call on that 66-yard touchdown pass. But I think Florida will play better this week. I got the Gators.
All right, we switch over to the NFL. 2 teams that picked up wins in week number 1. The Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Bengals. Who do you like in this matchup as they play it there in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I like the Bengals here. If you can buy it from 3.5 to 3, and they're not making you pay like -1, if you can get it like -125 or 30, I would do that. If not, just do the 3.5. Good performance by the Jags. It was Carolina. It was at home. I know the Bengals weren't overly impressive last week, but I'm not worried about their offense. I was impressed by their defense, which I was thinking going into the year that was going to be one of the 3 or 4 worst defenses in the league. Not that the Browns are a juggernaut offensively, but maybe the defense is a little better than I thought. I think the Bengals will take care of business at home. And can we go back to college? Because I think the Mizzou thing is probably my favorite that, so far. I love Missouri's team total over 37.5 against Louisiana. Louisiana, y'all know the name Walker Howard, started at LSU where he was a legacy, and then Ole Miss.
He's hurt, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So he's out for Louisiana. So I think that Mizzou, and by the way, if you didn't watch or look at the box score, there was another misleading final. I know they only beat Kansas 42-31, but they were 595 to 226 advantage in yards, 28-13 in first downs. Prabula is playing out of his mind. 79.1% completion percentage, 617 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks, 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And I like this Mizzou team. I think they score at least 38, probably 48 or more.
Okay, and dancing back to the NFL, you also said you like the Jags, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
No?
No. Bengals.
No, you like the Bengals 3.5. That's right. Okay, you like the Bengals 3.5 or up to 3, right? On the field goal.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
And then teaser or money line parlay.
Oh yeah, let me a parlay.
Bills just to win outright at the Jets. Arizona either -1 or to win outright at home to Carolina. And the Cowgirls. What could go wrong?
Against the Giants?
Against the G-Men. And how about my Commanders last week?
Oh, yeah.
Can't take them this week.
You're not touching them against the Packers? What's going on?
I hate road teams on short week. It's a Thursday game. But if the Packers get the lead or at halftime or live line, if we can get the Commanders +7 or better, we'll jump in there.
Okay.
But Packers looked impressive last week. I hate road teams in the Thursday game is basically my thought process. The Commanders will probably win, and I'll be kicking myself, but I can be like, well, I'm on the season win total over. So.
All right, so let's talk about a couple of updated I guess some odds to win the Southeastern Conference. So Bama, it's been updated at FanDuel. I guess their win total now is 8.5, and they're 7-1 to win the Southeastern Conference. Do any of those two interest you right now? Is there good value there?
No, I was just sharing that with you guys so you could, share with your audience. I wasn't suggesting that I was getting on that. And also with Bama, updated game of the year, +4.5 at Georgia, -8.5 at home to Tennessee. And and Auburn's updated 35-1 to win the Natty, 17-1 the SEC. Adjusted win total for Auburn 8.5, over -122, under -108. They do not have an updated Iron Bowl line, or at least not at FanDuel. But if they get it up there later this week or something, I'll let you know.
It's interesting because the Georgia spread just a couple weeks ago, Georgia was anywhere between a 6.5 and a 7-point favorite over Alabama. And so I guess because of Alabama's dominating performance against La Monroe and perhaps Georgia struggling against an FCS opponent, would that be worthy, you think, of if you're an Alabama fan of taking the 4.5?
I mean, Georgia is still your I'm trying to go PG here. I mean, you know what I'd normally say. Georgia is still Alabama's. I can't say it on the air.
No,
I understand.
They've won 9 out of 10. I don't care how many natties they've won. They're still y'all's little girl.
Yeah. Dog. A female
dog.
So,
I mean, if you want, I mean, I think it was equal, the adjustment in terms of Georgia not looking good last week and Alabama looking really good. What's going on with Jam Miller and Ryan Williams? Too early in the week to say?
The general feeling is, and we're going to get more of an update here in a couple minutes, but
from listeners or health-wise? I'm just kidding.
I'm talking health-wise.
Now, health-wise,
we have the injury report tonight. Go ahead.
It appears, based on the people that we talked to, that I would be more inclined to feel that Ryan Williams would play Saturday and Jam Miller not. That's just that's just me.
Quickly, forgive me if you mentioned it. Did you mention Ole Miss, Arkansas, and that total?
No, we did not get there. I like the over. The only thing that kind of concerns me is, was it Simmons' ankle or whatever? But I mean, they've got him listed as probable, so I think we're good. Man, these guys play high-scoring games. 3 of the last 4 combined scored 94, 69, and 103. 7 of the last 10 have been 64 or more. Ole Miss gets Luke Haas back, tight end transfer from Arkansas, who hadn't played yet this year. Taylon Green's playing out of his mind. I knew Arkansas was going to be good offensively, and I thought they were going to be terrible defensively. We'll find out. I mean, they've played a couple of cupcakes. But as long as Taylon Green's healthy and Bobby Petrino's calling plays, Arkansas is going to score points. And Ole Miss's defense didn't look that good last week. And I'm confident Ole Miss will score points. So I think we go over 61 there. And let's keep doing Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown prop. It's -145 at DraftKings. But if you want to go him to score 2 touchdowns, rushing that is, it's +390. I'm good with both.
Brian Edwards, always great stuff. Man, a lot of information today.
Oh, I've got so many more pages and notes for my podcast that your listeners can check out on the Southeastern 16 YouTube channel. Be posted tomorrow.
Ryan, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Thanks, fellas.
Ryan Edwards joining us. Voice of the Tide, Chris Stewart, presented by Craneworks. Next.